So what do we do with that? Vegas expects him to win the whole thing. As a fan, what do you do with that?
Well, you start looking for hotel rooms in Las Vegas so you can be a part of the action. That's what I would do.
Sounds like that's what we might be doing, actually.
Well, I mean, you're in a spot where, and you mentioned this during the crossover, there won't be another game in which they are underdog the rest of the year. Unless calamities happen.
Yeah, unless something happens.
If you lose to Seattle, you're double-digit favorite, and then you lose your next game, and then you lose another one.
Well, I don't want to say out loud how they'd become an underdog. You know what the answer is.
But even at that, you'd get to Washington and the Rams at the end of the year, you probably would still be favored. Is it Friday at 5 already? That was loud.
Cheers. I got a Tangerine LaCroix.
You're a lot of fun.
And I am not going to hold back on this sucker.
Let it rip, brother. Let it rip. Even if they lose every game between now and the Baltimore game on Christmas, they still might be favored. But I don't even want to entertain that as a hypothetical.
Right. I'm with you. But I'll tell you this. Here's what I do with it as a fan. I know, we know, our emotions are in there, and so that changes thoughts and expectations. When it's your team, you're always kind of scared. You always have the PTSD of things that have gone wrong in the past. You just don't want to get ahead of yourself. And this year is absolutely no different. But that's why yesterday I said my new motto is pray for health. Because if I think if the Niners are healthy, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think there's a team out there that can beat the 49ers without health going sideways or just who knows what, wild bounces, if you will. I think this team, Vegas is trying to tell us they're not just the best team, they're really the best team. Like it by a margin that you could fit something through. Yeah. I don't know if it's a truck, but a motorcycle.
Well, you can put it in terms of fluky plays. There are probably 2 fluky plays better than everyone. Meaning a tip ball at the line of scrimmage, pick 6 the other way. You should be able to survive that against anybody. But if you face 2 of those, a bad bounce, a muff punt, too soon, Kyle Williams. But
that's not too soon.
If you have 2 calamities, you're probably not 2 calamities better than everyone, but you're 1 calamity better.
I agree with that. So, yeah, they should win if they get health. And so my expectations for this team, and you know that I hate the word because expectations ruin everything, a meal, a movie, and everything else, a relationship. But I'm starting to feel about this 49er team the same way I felt about the Kevin Durant Warriors. They are the most talented team by far. By far. They really are. I know that there are a lot of good teams this year. It's pretty interesting. I even think a team like we saw last night, the Jaguars, are welcomed into this discussion, though a high ankle sprain and a loss at the wrong time for Trevor Lawrence certainly puts things in doubt for them. Now they suddenly only 1 game clear of 2 contenders within their division. But if we look at the Ravens, let's be real. The Dolphins don't scare the 49ers. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They've got the aura, even though they don't seem to have the look. The Ravens, that's one that I really want to see. Can't wait to see that on Christmas. We've seen what the 49ers at their best will do to the Eagles and the Cowboys. Doesn't mean they would do it again, but I take a lot from those games. They weren't close. The Niners completely overwhelmed them. We haven't seen the Lions, but I'd be pretty confident there. If the 49ers, just like the KD Warriors, if they are blessed with health, that's how I feel. This is not the best roster, man. This is a flat-out Pro Bowl roster. This thing's absurd.
It's legit. I mean, you can go to any line of the defense, any side of the offense, and you find a Pro Bowler and put aside the quarterback who might be the MVP, but look all around him. Left tackle's a Hall of Famer. The running back is probably 1 or 2 seasons away from minting himself as one if he's not there already. You got one of the top 3 tight ends in football and a wide receiver duo that is both unique and unstoppable.
I like that.
On defense, you've got 2 top 2 picks. One is a DPOY, the best linebacker in football, the meanest individual in football, and a corner who has emerged as one of the better lockdown corners in the game. Your punter's great, and your kicker, quietly, since the Cleveland debacle, I don't know if has he missed once? If that, the kid has been rock solid.
I think he did. Didn't he miss in Minnesota? Did he miss in Minnesota?
You're probably right.
I can't remember.
I'm just spitballing off of what you said about a Pro Bowl roster, and you're right, Mark. And you look all across each level on both sides of the ball, and your team is deep. Your ones are good. Your twos are legit. And sure, injury can undo any dream season. And you mentioned Jacksonville last night. That's a bummer. And the poor guy had to walk to the locker room. Oh. I mean, what's going on? Jacksonville, what are you doing? Can I get a ride?
Jacksonville's so ridiculous. I saw someone tweet what I could only take as a joke, and I think Guru might have actually fallen for it. They said someone tweeted that Trevor had to walk all the way to the hospital.
To the hospital,
and I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? And I'm like, no, he's kidding. I think he's kidding, right? But yeah, that was absurd. What? Come on. What is happening here?
Right.
For Trevor Lawrence? Like somebody grab some paper mache and make a cart. This is your quarterback's a whole team.
Basically. And
C.J. Beathard with an appearance last night.
Love C.J. Beathard. C.J. Beat Hard is the actual pronunciation according to some. You look at that one play and you look at Jacksonville's trajectory, and it's not that their season is over if he's out, but they might not win the division. They might not they may not make the playoffs. And so to that end, You think about where the Niners are, and you mentioned KD's Warriors, and you're right. KD's Warriors, the first 2 years, even the third year he was here, the expectation was, this team's going to win a title. And they stayed healthy, and then they did it. And then the third year, they didn't stay healthy, and then they didn't do it.
Quick glance. Jacksonville's still going at least 11-6 because it's a high ankle, and I think
4 to 6 weeks normally.
Maybe. Remember, Patrick Mahomes had a high ankle and then played. So yeah.
Not all high ankles are created equally.
Correct, right? So and as a quarterback, not someone who's cutting as much. You could probably play on it before it's 100%.
Yeah.
Even if he misses a couple of games, and their next 2 games are tough. They're at Cleveland and then home to Baltimore. But they finished with at Tampa, home to Carolina, at Tennessee. I think Jacksonville gets Trevor Lawrence back, and if they need to go 3-0 in that stretch, they do. And
Tampa, Carolina, and Tennessee.
That's how they finished the season.
Yeah,
that's
Tampa
tidy.
Might be playing for a playoff berth at 5-7
for their 7th win.
Who knows?
Very exciting in the NFC South.
Might be enough in the South. 7-10 might get it done.
That division, my God, Tom Brady left it, and I'm like, what is the point? What is happening here? But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want this to sound cocky. But the bottom line is the 49ers are getting $50 million of production from someone that they're giving less than $1 to. And that changes everything for everyone and every team. It allows you to have just an embarrassment of riches at every stop. And I know part of it is that we're fans and we follow this team, so we know the guys at every position. But look around the league, even the top guys. Like, okay, I bet a lot of Niner fans today, if we were like, tell me who's on the defensive line for the Eagles, and they could start firing names at you, Jalen Carter, Hassan Reddick, and Fletcher Cox. We could start doing, all right, cool. Now tell me about their linebackers.
Well, they play nickel a lot, Mark, so they only have 2 on the field usually.
Okay,
sometimes they play with 1 linebacker.
And don't give me Bradford as a corner. The only reason you know him is because your favorite receiver called him trash. There are household names, and maybe not in the defensive backfield for the Niners, even though Charvarius Ward plays like one. But that's what I'm saying, man. That's why Vegas is looking at this team, and they're not going like, I think they're the best. They're like, they're the best. They've got stars everywhere. And I think it's high time we start looking at this team the same way we looked at the Kevin Durant Warriors, because I think it's the exact same thing. They've kind of got the better player at almost every position when they go play. A little different. It's football. You got 22 starters as opposed to 5. But by and large, the Niners have got the better guy everywhere. And the reason they can do that is because where other teams are paying 50, they're paying 1 and getting better production from that position. Like we've talked about it a lot, I still think we're underrating it. We are underrating the importance of what the Niners are doing financially at the quarterback position.
Well, as this gets deeper and this becomes more real in terms of the finality of a possible February victory, then you can look at it in historical terms as far as this maybe being the best value in sports history. Now, we're not there yet because they still have to go out and win in January and get to February and win in February. But if they win in February, and let's just play the hypothetical game and we can get over our skis because, quite frankly, we're not skiing. We're talking. They're playing. I can be overconfident.
Yep.
I can be cocky. I can be arrogant.
We can get caught looking ahead. Yep.
I played the schedule game at the start of the year, and darn it, I had them 12-5, and I don't like my chances right now with them sitting at 9-3. But you start to think about if we get to that point and they do the impossible, the improbable, they win their 6th, Brock Purdy will go down as the best bargain in the history of sports.
Oh, God, yeah.
In terms of salary versus production.
You might get there even without the Super Bowl. If he wins the MVP award.
Yeah, true.
I mean, my God, what, like, it's absurd. It's absurd.
It really is.
We've sort of talked about it in the past as this, like, fun little quirk about the Niners. Oh, look at that. They're starting quarterbacks making $800,000. No. The highest rated passer in the NFL is making $800,000. The advantage that creates for the 49ers over the other top teams cannot be, it can't be overstated. It can't be. Even somebody who might still be on a rookie deal. Tua still on the rookie deal? Tua, I believe, is. Okay, you get production like that. Look at their offense, and they're 9-3. Okay, but you're still paying him 7th, 6th overall pick in the draft money, whatever that was. You know what I mean? You go around the league, the other teams that the Niners are competing with, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, whether Josh Allen can get there, Burrow's hurt, Lamar Jackson. That's who the 49ers are competing with, and the playing field is not level. Not even close. The Niners have turned the NFL into baseball, where the Dodgers can play the A's and be like, dude, we're spending $300 million and you're spending $40. So of course we're going to beat you. That's what the Niners have done with the NFL because of what they found in Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and it's what we talked about at the start of the year, what their ultimate advantage could be if Brock Purdy could just be good. Forget if Brock Purdy is great or an MVP frontrunner. If Brock Purdy's just good and he's able to start most of the games and get the ball out of his hands to the weaponry around him, they could be a good team. And you know what? We saw him in January last year, and he won a couple of playoff games, so heck, who knows? And then he goes out and plays like this. And I just want to circle back to what I said last year when I said, I don't know if, it's not his birthright for him to necessarily get better. And then you look at how much better he's gotten. And I'm reluctant to say it again, but if you look at how he's played so far now, is there another level that this guy can get to? Because he's playing from a QB rating standpoint, he's 9th all time, including, some of the greatest players who've ever played this game. Aaron Rodgers twice, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, all the rest of them. He's in that class. Is there another level that he can get to?
I would argue it is highly likely that the answer is yes.
It's crazy to think about that.
He's been a quarterback in the NFL essentially for 366 days.
Good point.
Why would he already be at his best? Why would he be? In theory, yes, I guess one way you could answer it is if in 2 years the 49ers have got to start cutting people or not re-signing, Christian McCaffrey moves on, could you get lesser output? And as you know, like sports, year to year, weird stuff just starts happening. You're dealing like Wiggins this year. What the hell's going on? I don't know, but he's just a lesser version of himself. Starting to look like he's coming out of it. Now he's hurt, and I know he'll be back soon. So I'm still optimistic there. But I think things like that will happen in a career. Even if you look at Tom Brady, right? There were years, before he went to Tampa, I thought he was done. So did the Niners.
Yeah.
They picked Jimmy Garoppolo over him, and then he went and won a Super Bowl again. So you have dips, and I'm sure he will too. But if you ask any really great player, were you at your absolute peak a year into playing? I would argue none of them would say yes.
Yeah.
There's still so much experience for him to have. Opponents he hasn't faced yet. The biggest of games in which he has not participated. So, Yeah. He's going to get even better.
I mean, 70% completion, 4-to-1 TD to interception ratio, leading the league in a number of different categories, and a QB rating that's top 10 all time, and yet you can still get better. That to me is unfathomable. But to your point, a guy who's barely 24 starts into his career, of course, he should get better.
I don't know if the numbers will ever get much better, but the player will get better. And then we also assess people as better when you can not just do it once, but do it again and again and again.
Right, and be able to do it with lesser talent around you,
Totally.
which eventually he will have to do.
Eventually.
Not for a few years, though.
Not yet.
Not tomorrow.
Not next year.
Not Sunday.
Not the year after that.
Yep.